Thank you for joining us. The last talk of the track here before closing ceremonies. We have Andy Lewis joining us today for Social Engineering the Interview. Andy, feel free to take it away.
Thank you very much. All right. Everybody, thanks for coming. If you think this is about gaining interviewing skills as the person being interviewed, you're in the right place. This will also help you if you're in a management role and you're interviewing people, but not so much. Hey, I should use this, huh? Okay. All right. So let's do it. Let's get on with it. So what I do for a living at my day job is work on software supply chain security. I don't know if you all were able to see this, but if you're into software supply chain security and you want to understand it, that guy's presentation is aces. It's perfect. If you want to fix it, then you would reach out to me or my buddy Matt Reynolds. Hey, Matt, are you here? Yeah. It's sales guys, huh? So anyway, you'd reach out to me or Matt. So I've got cards here. I also have a whole bunch of breath mints from somebody called Cyber One. That's for me. Anyway. So that's what supply chain's about. So who am I? I'm a born-again former Marine. So if this sounds like somebody put in a revival tent at boot camp, that's what it sounds like, all right? That's who I am. That's what I do. I founded the Denver and Boulder OWASP chapters. Is there anybody who doesn't know what an OWASP is? Okay, OWASP is the Open Web Application Security Project. It's basically a forum that'll let people understand application security. Kind of a different flavor, all right? All right. Anybody who knows what that is, did I get it wrong? Okay, good. All right, I also founded Snowfrock, which is a conference. It's like this. It's in Denver, so it's like this, but with altitude. You like that? Clever, huh? I have been an IT security leader at small, medium, and large companies. My biggest company was a Fortune 250, but it felt bigger. I'll just tell you that. I've been laid off 4 times. Let me say that again. I've been laid off 4 times. Some of the things I'm going to talk to you about are about being ready if it happens to you. I'm here to tell you the first time I didn't realize I was living paycheck to paycheck, but I was. I didn't realize that was a problem, but it was. So the things I'm going to talk you through are things that I've developed through experience, all right? The other thing, and I want you all to hear this very carefully or very, very well. The last 2 times I've been in this interview process, I've had to decline offers when accepting my offer. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that too and that methodology because it matters. All right. Right now, like I said, solutions architect and honeybee wrangler, I keep bees, for Reversing Labs, right? We're doing that software supply chain security thing. So here are my weasel words. This is I, me, mine. This isn't about, the conference. This isn't about Reversing Labs. This is my opinion. The stuff I'm sharing with you, man, I hope it works for you as well as it has for me. But it may blow up in your face. Just be careful. Be yourself. We'll talk about that. So let's talk about who. So anybody who is interviewing, right? So is there anybody here who is totally new to the industry? This is for you. What's that red band mean? Okay, so you're new and you're looking. I want feedback from you when you get a job, okay? I want to know if this helped you. Who else is new? Brand new? Anybody? Okay, same thing, right? I'm gonna share some things with you. You've got an uphill climb, but there are things that you bring to the table that make you better in some ways than crusty old bastards like me, okay? All right, just so you know. All right, career changers, any of those in here? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, okay, only one. What are you coming out of? One more time? Okay, AppDev and that'll be pretty natural. you should find me after. We could talk. It'll be good. All right, and then ornery old curmudgeons, does this apply to you? Yeah, kind of. Don't let the brown hairs fool you. Yeah. Management, absolutely. Executive management, is there anybody in here that plans to be interviewing for an executive management position soon? Okay. Here's my opinion about that. That when I am applying for an executive management role, my setting going in is that that guy wants to hear himself. It's universal. It's the way it works. I can't fix it. I can only adapt. So everything I'm going to show you applies to that too, except if you're going in with an executive interview, you're going to want to turn the tables quickly to get that guy or gal talking. Just the way it works. And by the way, if I'm wrong, you're lucky, and you should go to work for those guys, because that's good. All right, preparation and mindset. What I'm going to talk to you about now is the most important stuff. An interview is a two-way street. They want to know if you're the right person for the gig. What do you want to know? What's that? If they're good for you, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I've been in places that are unhealthy. Go figure, right? Should have turned down the interview, didn't. I knew, or I should have turned down the offer. I knew during the interview that my boss was toxic, the environment was toxic, this was going to be no good for me, and the clock was ticking. I was going to be on my way out soon enough. So it's two ways, right? Know what you want. Know what your boss wants. I can tell you that as a hiring manager, I only care about two things. Can you do the job, and are you going to get me fired? That's all I care about. You think I'm kidding, but that's all I care about. Can you do the job, and are you going to get me fired? All right? We're talking about people today. AI is coming. I have no freaking idea what that's going to look like over the long haul. My hunch is that if you're better with people than a computer is with people, you're going to be valuable. One thing that I see consistently, not just in the cyber industry, but in a lot of industries, is that people are becoming less friendly, less personable. Is that going to make a difference in the long run? I don't know. So AI is coming, that your people skills might matter, or maybe not, okay? But it's coming. Mindset matters. Is there anybody who can't understand what this is trying to show you? This is the maze. But I ain't waiting for anybody's walls or channels. I want cheese, and I'm getting to it. Mindset matters. The other thing is opportunity is knocking. One of the things that that can be transformational for you if you get laid off especially is yesterday you went to work at whatever your job was and you were doing whatever you were doing. You're clicking your share of the mouse clicks and you're punching your share of the keys and you were in your comfort zone. And that stopped. Well, here's what that means to you. One of the most famous Marines in the world is a guy named Chesty Puller. Up at the Chosin Reservoir in Korea, got surrounded by the Chinese. Pulled his people in and said, those poor bastards, they've got us surrounded. We can attack in any direction now. Do you understand? Mindset matters. This is opportunity knocking. Yesterday you were in your comfort zone. Maybe you were growing, maybe you weren't, but today, tomorrow's going to be different. And it's up to you whether it's going to be different in a better way or not. So mindset matters, all right? The title of this talk is about social engineering, all right? What is social engineering? Well, I want what I want. And I'm going to use my people skills to get it. When you boil down social engineering, that's what that is. I want what I want, and Wes, I would love it if you could loan me your Macintosh a minute before my presentation, right? And you got me covered, right? Because you trust me, right? So the other thing about social engineering, I'm going to get what I want with my people skills, but one of the things I'm going to do is what? I'm going to leverage predictable behavior. But I'm not going to abuse it. I'm going to build trust because I can anticipate some things, some behaviors. Did I lose anybody there? All right. When you smile at somebody in America, what is likely to come back your way? A smile, right? So if I start my interview flipping somebody the bird, what's likely to come back my way? Not a smile, right? Some behavior is predictable. So that applies, but not all the time, right? So an effective social engineer does what? They adapt when things change, right? And then this is really important. We're talking about job interviewing. When you're doing pen testing for a building and you're trying to social engineer your way past a guard, well, heck yeah, you'll lie. Don't do it in the interview. Nobody likes a liar. I see you smiling. I see you smiling. So be ready to adapt, but don't lie, all right? And don't lie to yourself either. All right. Social engineering fails. Anybody in this room won an Oscar or an Emmy? Anyone? Anyone? Not even for a soap opera? Okay, me neither. All right. Look, don't lie. Be yourself, but is there anybody that doesn't understand what I mean when I say show up with your game face? Anybody? I lose anybody? Be the best you today. Show up with your game face, right? Don't pretend you're somebody else, but I'm here, I'm with you, I've got something I want from you, you got something you hopefully want from me, and it's game on, right? All right. The other thing, so chat. I'm going to teach you some questions. You want it to be conversational, right? But not an inquisition. Not an inquisition, all right? And then one of the things that I used to hate when I was interviewing people is people that would dance around answers. I'm not hiring a politician. Don't want a politician. There are executive roles that I interviewed for where they wanted a politician. I wasn't their guy. Imagine. Answer the question. Later on in this talk, we'll talk about ways for you to practice so that your answers are crisper, cleaner, better, and more responsive to the question you're asked. All right, yeah? Answer the freaking question? Yeah. Yeah. The question was, what is ATFQ? The answer is, answer the freaking question. Did that answer your question? Okay, good. Thank you. And by the way, please feel free to interrupt me if you've got a question, right? The other thing is what? These guys might not be good enough for you. Keep that in mind. I was running security for a very large company that hired a new executive that I was going to report into. And the first time I walked into his office, he says, "Oh, you're my security guy. So, like, your guys could hack my ex-wife's email, right?" And he was serious. I thought he was kidding. And I realized, looking at his face, he wasn't kidding. So he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, "You know, sir, we could if it weren't a felony. Happy to do that if it wouldn't end us in jail." And I went home that night, and I talked to my wife, who is a saint, and I said, "This guy's dirty. I'm going to give it a year." And about 3 months later, my wife told me that it felt like a year to her. So remember, you're interviewing, right? Criminals, if you can't stand micromanagers, you figure out the questions you need to ask to understand if they're going to be that way. And then continue to play that interview so that if you get competing offers, you've got one that you can decline, right? All right. everybody in this room has got instincts. You got a little quiet voice that you usually ignore. During the interview process, when you get the time, step back and ask yourself, what wasn't right? Something didn't feel right. Or, hey, if everything felt right, that's great. Then go for it, right? But remember not to shut it down. Remember, so if you think of interviewing, think of it as a big funnel. And I'm going to start. You guys hear me still okay in the back? Yeah? Okay. It's a big funnel, right? And I start with 35 recruiters reaching out to me. And I have that conversation, and now I'm down to 20. And I have the conversation with whoever those 20 people are, and now I'm down to 12 in front of me. And I have a conversation, and now I'm down to 3 or 4, but they're all going to give me an offer. I know which one I want. And if they lowball me, I want to be able to say, you know, Wes, I really appreciate that. That's a very generous offer. I do have a couple of competing offers. What can you do better? Can I get more stock? Can I get a title? Can I get a bigger bump? What can you ask for when you're in a place where you're willing to walk away? What can you ask for? That's why you don't shut it down. Right? I know it's wrong. That doesn't mean I need to shut it down, because the bottom line is, at some point, especially if I'm living paycheck to paycheck, I want the paychecks. Any questions about that? Any questions about anything so far?
What's your advice for like the questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what do you do when there's an elephant in your front yard, like that kind of stuff?
So my favorite question was, if you were a tree, Andy, what kind of tree would you be? Right? And to paraphrase your question, your question was, what's an answer to where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Right? Some of those. Is that what you asked me? Yeah. Okay. Anybody got a good answer for what kind of tree you ought to be? Okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Someplace else, not that guy's job. Right? That's your answer. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Right? I've got another talk that's about climbing the ladder, and I think we've got a developer in the back that's climbing and pivoting into security, right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's on you. But don't be stupid enough to tell the guy that's interviewing you, you know, you're not really very good at this, so I'm probably going to have your job about 6 months, right? Don't do that, right? What kind of tree would you be? You need to come up with your own answer. Usually for me, I'll tell a story. And what's your name? Jacob. Say, hey, Jacob, do you know any good lawyer jokes? Because I know a great one. See, with a good lawyer, when you ask them, what color is the sky, you know what a good lawyer says, Jacob? What color do you need it to be? So if you need, what kind of tree do you need? And by the way, do you need a tree, or are we talking about a cyber roll today? Right? That's my take on that, right or wrong. I don't, Frank? I want to look at their expression. If the guy asking me that question or the gal asking me that question is a true believer that this is indicative of my nature, that I'm a carob tree, I got to go someplace else. Yeah. So, okay. Does that help? Okay, good. All right, again, strategic preparation, no substitute. No substitute, except for what? Luck. Who's won the lottery 3 times over, and why are you in this class to talk about interviewing? Ain't nobody in here lucky enough, so you got to prepare, right? All right, so when you get laid off, what's likely to be the biggest stress? Probably finances. You ain't laid off now. get ahead of it now. It'll feel like maybe you got to dig a little bit. Do the digging now before it puts you in the wrong frame of mind while you've got to go out and find another check. Do the digging now. First time I got laid off, we had $0 in the bank. It was not cool. I'm married to a saint, so it was about as cool as it could get, but it was not cool. Second time I got laid off, we had about 3 months of legs. And my wife was a lot calmer. And that put me in a place where I could be a lot calmer. Third time I got laid off, we had a year in the bank. We had eliminated all of our debt. Everybody was calm. And I can pick and choose for a year, and we both know it. Last time I got laid off, which is about a year ago today, give or take, we had a year in the bank, we got no debt, and my wife knows I'm going to get to work because I started that afternoon looking for work. And I told her, I've had a call with a recruiter right now today. I turned LinkedIn on, said I'm open for work. A recruiter found me. Guess what? It's on. And my wife knows that. So we have legs, and she knows, look, that last layoff, one of the guys I got laid off with, we're talking, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to take some time off. What are you going to do? I said, man, I'm getting after it. I got an interview scheduled for tomorrow. I got a recruiter call that happened today. I'm getting after it, right? So that was October. In March, the guy reaches out to me and says, hey, man, I can't get any action. You know, there's plenty of action in November. I bet you. So anyway, look, think about your finances. Think about who you are and how you get de-stressed. Because remember, you got to come into the interview with your game face on, and that doesn't mean looking nervous. And that doesn't mean snapping at people and being angry, all right? Skills. The other thing is, remember, opportunity is knocking if you've been laid off. There's all kinds of free crap on the internet. Find something that is interesting that's a gap for you. And teach yourself stuff outside of working hours. Because what are you doing during working hours? What are you doing during working hours? Looking, interviewing, right? Networking. That's what you're doing. All right, so skills, do that. And then, you know, the simple question, what's it take to make you a better you? There's all kinds of self-help books, right? Three of my favorites, the autobiography of Ben Franklin. The guy worked on himself every day of the week. 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I like that book a lot. And then The Richest Man in Babylon. It's small, it's simple, it works, and it'll help you get your financial house in order. All right? All right. Talk about tools. One of my favorite quotes. You can't fix stupid with a small hammer. All right. Okay, so do your homework, do your recon. You're going to get an invitation to interview someplace. What do you know about that place? What could you know about that place? Now, I can tell you I'm a sales engineer, and I'm here to tell you marketing teams suck. They have no freaking idea, for the most part, what their organizations do. And even if they do, they're lousy at putting it on their website. I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feeling. So figure out what you can. If they're publicly traded, you can look at the what? The SEC filings, right? You can look on LinkedIn and figure out who do you know there, right? Say, hey, Wes, I got an interview coming up with these guys. What do you think? It's with Bob Jones. What do you think? Right? Who do you know? And remember, guys, everything I'm telling you is predicated on you being a helpful person too. you're not lying, and you're not just sucking juice from somebody else. If I'm going to ask Wes for help because I know he works where I want to go, he knows and I know that at some point down the road, if it hasn't happened already, I'll take care of him when he asks. Everybody understand that? All right. All right, SEC, job posting. One of the things that used to crack me up is I'd interview people and they hadn't read the job posting. I know they'd seen it at least twice because the HR lady sent it and I sent it, and they didn't bother to read it. As a hiring manager, for me, that's like, hey, I'm sorry. We were looking for somebody who pays attention. So what does the job posting say? More importantly, what does it say that you're weak at? And what is your ability to then wrap a story about what you're strong at to offset your weakness? Read the job posting, all right? And I'll give you some examples in a second. What did the recruiter say? Yeah. You don't have it? Is that what you're saying? All right, so the question was, hey, job postings are looking for the purple squirrel. I'm paraphrasing. Or the golden unicorn, right? Hey, I need somebody that has done application development for 20 years, that's done cloud for 50 years. Think about that. Think about that, right? And what do you do about that? Man, I'm going to launch. I don't care. And if I don't have cloud for 50 years, I'm going to have a talk track that offsets that. I'm not going to tell them they're stupid, but I'm going to have a talk track that says, you know, Andy, you seem to be inexperienced in the cloud. Oh, well, you know, that may be the case, but, you know, I've done server farms that were intercontinental, many time zones, and I kind of like what the cloud brings in terms of that ability to scale, blah, 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 your talk track. Right? This is what I admire about that thing that nobody could do. Does that help? Okay, good. Good question. All right. All right, what do the recruiters say? And then, you know, my favorite, if I know somebody there, so I went to interview at a place called Dish Network, and a very good friend of mine said, hey, you need to stop right now. That place is a meat grinder. It'll kill you. And I said, oh, goodness, I don't want to die. So, but what my friend didn't know about me was that I was an adrenaline junkie, and at Dish Networks, I could get my fix 3 or 4 times a day. So, you know, listen to what they say. Maybe you take it, maybe you don't. Have a clock, right? If you're doing it via Zoom or whatever, my recommendation is set the doorbell alarm. Set the doorbell alarm. Why? Because when that doorbell goes off, if they hate you, what are they going to say? You need to get that? If they like you, hey, do you need to get that? And when you say no, that's okay, right? You know where you stand when that doorbell goes off. Wow, that was amazing. Anyway, so set the doorbell alarm, be able to take notes. I have a system for taking notes, right? If they said it, it starts with a dash. If it's a question I want to circle back to, I have an underscore followed by a pipe. And if it's an action item for me, it's a pair of brackets. And that's my note-taking system. You do you. But those are the 3 things that matter. What did they say? What do I need to ask without interrupting? And what do I freaking need to do before I talk to this person again? Those are the 3 things, all right? If it's Zoom, set up your camera. You want to be visible. Work out the bugs in the conference. Easy for me to say, I know. Let's next slide. Let's start with the question, right? Question 1 is the table turner. Again, what are we doing with social engineering? We're building trust while we leverage predictable behavior. What's one of the questions that almost always comes up? Andy, what do you know about us? What's your name? Jason. So Jason, I've done a lot of research. I read your SEC filings. I listened carefully to the recruiter and the other guy that I interviewed with. But I'd kind of like to hear it from you. Right? Now, why do you do that? Remember what I said about executives? There are other people who like to hear themselves speak. And you are a freaking genius if you let them speak. Did you know that? You're a genius. So that's always my opening question, right? I don't want to be evasive, and I have done my homework. Why would I do my homework? Well, because if it boomerangs back, so the last interview I did was with the Chief Revenue Officer at Reversing Labs. And he said, Andy, what do you know about us? And I said, well, you know, Michael, I've listened very carefully during this process. I've talked to everybody I know at the company. I think I know a lot, but I'd kind of like to hear from you. He said, yeah, bullshit. I asked you what you know about us. And at that point, all my preparation paid off because I laid it out in about 3 minutes, everything I knew, and now we have trust. And golly, I got the job. Does everybody understand how this question is intended to work? Is anybody feeling lucky enough to ask this question without having done your homework? All right, good. All right, let's go. Do you have any questions for me? Yeah. Hey, what's the perfect candidate look like? And guy in the back, I didn't catch your name, but this is your question. This is your response to the impossible job posting, right? Because in writing it says 50 years of cloud. The person you're talking to knows what it really is. And this is your question. What's the perfect candidate look like? And then you listen very carefully, right? You're going to hear things that align with who you are and what you can bring to the table, and you're going to hear things that involve your gaps. And you need to be ready, all right? All right. The smart money here is after they've said what the perfect candidate, what the purple squirrel looks like, right, is to ask those clarifying questions. Like you said, 50 years in cloud. What do you expect somebody with 50 years in cloud to actually know? Well, what would we need to know for this job? Yeah, question in the back. It depends. It depends on the rhythm. So the question was, you want to ask this as early as possible, don't you? It depends on the rhythm. So I'm never going to interrupt the person I'm interviewing with. You saw my first opportunity to turn the tables, I took it, and I tried to turn it into a conversation. And if I'm having a conversation, I don't have to wait for, do you have any questions for me? I'm already in a conversation. Does that help? All right. Anybody got questions about that? All right, good. All right. Clarifying questions, think it through in advance. You might need to make noise because I'm not looking your way very often. All right, thanks. This is a totally gratuitous meme, but it's one of my favorites. Nobody is looking to hire somebody who can do feng shui. All right? Don't make excuses. All right, the third question, I need to understand the process, right? So, hey, do you have any questions for me? Yes, I do. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. What's the next step and what's the step after that? And by the way, if the next step involves some guy named Bob, what can you tell me about Bob? What should I know about Bob, right? All right. You're going to hear, if you listen carefully, they'll give you some information, right? Be ready to pivot and follow up on the information they're sharing. What is the process? Okay, and sometimes, is there anybody else I should talk to? Not anybody else I should interview, but is there somebody else I should talk to? Right? Okay, and this is a warning. Either you tell me the path or I'm going to make a path. Right? All right. And I think this will be online. Okay. I was speaking. Tell me your name again because I forgot. You. Wally. Yes. I was speaking with Wally earlier and we were talking about, hey, thanks for coming, by the way. We were talking about interviewing in a sales capacity. So I worked for Wes Ballinger for many years, and he's a god amongst men. Don't let it go to your head. One thing you have to do if in a sales capacity is close it out, right? Because if you're selling, you have to ask for the order, right? So even in an ops capacity, when I was doing ops work, I'd usually say something like, gosh, this is great, I can't wait to hear from you. That's not a sale. Hey, this has been terrific. I've really enjoyed this. I hope this is going to work out. Is there anything else that we should go ahead and get squared away before we hang up? Do you have any concerns? Is there anything else you need to know about me that maybe it gives you pause for concern? You know where you stand right now. Right? Because somebody either go, no, right? Or they'll say something else that's meaningful. Like, in my case, this last interview cycle, I kept bumping into Python. Right? I kept bumping into, hey, Andy, you're a nice guy, but you can't even spell Python, I don't think, much less write code in it. So, okay, well, maybe I can, maybe I can't. But this is your line I really like. You're going to listen carefully, and you're going to be ready to address gaps, right? And what does that mean? So, hey, if you've got a problem with my inability to code in Python, just let me help you out. I've written code in Bash. I've written code in a lot of other scripting languages. I'm not proud of it, but I steal other people's code, and I put it to work for me, right? All right. Any questions about this question? And Wally, you know this one. And you remember this one. All right, good. Other questions? I always ask what happened to the last guy. I always ask that. And if it's a new role, I want to know. And one of the reasons I want to know if it's a new role, like who else am I going to be working with? In my case, as a sales engineer, I want to meet my frickin' rep. He and I are going to be tied at the hip. I want to meet that guy. I'm not coming aboard without meeting that guy. But who else am I going to have to work with? What should I know about him? If you're feeling bold, hey, Wes, this has been great. When can I start? Right? And you're going to make eye contact and you're going to ask, and then you shut up. Right? When can I start? All right. Quick wrap up. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too ornery, I'm too stupid. I don't care. People hire people that they like. It's game day. Have your game face on. Right? I like this meme a lot. Nobody's going to hire somebody who makes excuses. Nobody's going to hire somebody who blames the furniture. It's on you. And to that, talk about the follow-up. You would be amazed how many people don't say thank you, don't email thank you, or don't snail mail thank you. And I'm here to tell you, as somebody who's been the recipient of snail mail thank you, that is a blip in your day on the right side of my day. Oh, you know, that guy actually said thank you. Holy crap. I got a card. This is cool, right? If you have a gap, work it. Python's my gap. Frankly, I don't know a lot more about it than when I got caught short, but I know more about it. And I can say I've been working on it, right? One kid that I was coaching got laid off, and his hiring manager said, this is going to go long. His hiring manager said, you need to read this book. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to order it from Amazon. It had to come from the UK and wasn't going to be here for 2 weeks. So, okay, well, what about the library? The bottom line is the guy did everything he could to get that book. Be prepared for the next call. Do not get caught twice. As a hiring manager, one of the things I would do every single interview, I'm going to find the limits of your knowledge. And if I can find that twice, you're not my guy. You understand? So if I ask you, hey, whatever, what's the speed of light? And you say, I'm not really sure. You can bet in another interview, I'm asking you the speed of light again. And you better know the answer. All right. Another way to get ahead and be different, think 30, 60, 90-day plan. If I get the job, what would my first 30 days look like? First 60, first 90. Put that in a plan. Include that in your thank you. Say, look, I've enjoyed this. I think this is how I get off to a running start. In your house, look, I don't know about y'all, but, happy wife, happy life is my rule. So if I had a good interview or a bad interview, I'm telling her, right? And I'll ask her help if I think I need it. For me, you guys probably figured out I'm kind of high-strung. I book the break before the interview. I tell Kim, hey, going to need about 20 minutes after. So I'll be on the phone and we'll all be quiet, but leave me alone. All right. Okay, and then everything is a trade-off. Less money, more time, less time. Challenging environment, boring environment. It's all trade-offs, figure it out. All right, questions? Because I'm pretty much done. This will be online. It'll be available for you. What questions should I have answered? Yes, sir.
So I've heard as far as like a body language thing, that it's a sign of weakness to accept water or drinks during an interview. Is that your same point?
Okay, the question is, I've heard that as a body language thing, it's a sign of weakness to accept water or drinks. My opinion is be yourself, right? I think anybody that offers me water, I will say yes, thank you. That's the way I was raised, right? If I wasn't raised that way, I might say, nah, man, I'm good, right? But I'm going to be myself, right? If somebody gives you a gift, I'm going to take the gift. I don't care if it's water or, hey, I got to go. Can I talk to you in a half an hour? Oh, hell yeah. All right. What else? Yes, sir.
You said earlier about the trade question. That's not the right person. I ask those questions as a hiring manager, like how many buildings are in downtown Houston? Just abstract questions.
Yeah.
To get them, to see if they're critical thinkers, because when people say, I have no idea, that's not my guy.
Good.
So why do you say those aren't good questions from the interviewer?
No, I think what you explained is right? So say it again, please, Michael.
Yeah, so I was asking about the tree question, and I said as a hiring manager, I ask weird questions, like how many windows are in downtown Houston, or why is a drain cover round? And it has nothing to do with cybersecurity, but when they say, and I've told my kids, do not say, I don't know. Start thinking, come up with an answer. I want to see the critical thinking skills.
There you go. And is there anybody that didn't understand that? Okay, so what Michael's saying is basically, he mentioned actually one of my favorite examples, why are manhole covers round, right? And that is to explore how you think and what you think about, right? And maybe something like that, I'd be looking at it and going, let me think about that, right? What kind of tree would you be? Man, I'm just not that guy. That's a weird one, but something that, yeah, so I'm going into a technical role 100% of the time. I don't want to hear you asking me about my feelings or, yeah, we're not going there. But you're absolutely right. the point Michael was making is some of these off-the-wall questions are an exploration into how you think. Not how you feel, but how you think. All right. Awesome. Other questions? Oh, and there's a guy leaving. Sure. Okay. Anybody? Last chance. Going once? Oh, hey. So we'll be here at the API conference with 3 super geniuses. I'll be speaking again at LastCon, and my sales guy, Matt Reynolds, who declined to show up today, and that's on film, will be hosting at LastCon. So any last questions? Thank you all. This has been a great conference. Thanks for being a good audience.
That is it for talks in the tracks. We now have the final keynote happening in the keynote hall, followed by closing ceremonies. So thank you all.